So you clicked on a video titled Ranking She-Hulk Episodes. I bet you want a really long, waffly outro.
No, James, no one wants that. Just get on with the video.
Okay then, we'll start at number 9. Now, at number 9, we have episode 6, titled Just Jen. Now, I promise, this video isn't going to be She-Hulk bashing, apart from this last one. This is our episode where She-Hulk goes to a wedding, and Titania's there, and they have a fight, and Jen gets a boyfriend that's given some context that we really care about in the next episode, and just dull. Was just dull. Sorry if you like this one. I didn't. At number 8, we have episode 5, Mean, Green and Straight Poured Into These Jeans. Might not be a great episode, but it has a good title. This is the episode where She-Hulk gets sued because she's called She-Hulk. This is a mix for me of two problems. The Titania character never quite worked for me, and this episode is very silly on the legal side, and I'd have probably preferred it sometimes to play it a little bit more serious with the legal side, like they kind of tried to do in the Matt Murdock episode. Not a bad episode, still some fun, but wasn't for me. At number 7, I'm going to go with the 7th episode, The Retreat. Oh, I'm looking up at you, it's all a bit intense, isn't it? Obviously, this is the episode where She-Hulk goes to Emile Blonsky's retreat, and it's a bit of fun. And feel like a bit of a budget-saving episode where half the time characters are just in a room talking. But they're fun enough characters and having interesting enough conversations. And for me, this is the first episode on this list that I would describe as good. Emile Blonsky's great, Tatiana Maslany finally gets some good moment. I really enjoy her character in this. Overall, yeah, a nice fun episode. I'm gonna move on to the next number. This is ruining my neck. So at number 6 we have episode 4. Is this not real magic? It was just a bit silly, wasn't it? Like, at the end of the day, like I said, I'd like it if they treated the lore elements a little bit more seriously. But it is fun, and it does just kind of get points for Wong. Am I allowed to give Wong points? I think I am, so that's why it's there. Wong points. Oh, James, you're creative. A second shower shot. Ooh. Oh, it's dripping. It's dripping. That's not supposed to be how showers work. At number 5, we have episode 9, the finale. Whose show is this? Obviously, this is the one that just came out and was with all, all the Disney Plus fourth wall breaking, that type of thing. And I think this, for me, was some of the best elements of She-Hulk and also epitomised some of its weakest. I think the show does a very fun job of criticising the tropes it's trying to criticise. At the end of the day, a lot of its finale is trying to criticise the creating of an unsatisfying ending, whilst also making the ending feel unsatisfying. But this episode does just have a lot of fun and is very likeable, and yes, I'd have loved the, proper Kevin Feige to appear, but the Feige robot was fun. Overall, this worked very, very well for me, even though I wish it had kind of, stuck to its guns a little bit more, and if it wanted to make this play on create a satisfying ending, actually then create a satisfying ending. 2 shower shots, what'll I do next? A bath shot? Now at number 4, we have episode 3, The People versus Emile Blonsky. Emile Blonsky is just allowed to be such a fun character in this show, and I think the way they've tried and done things with his character, I find really interesting. And overall, for a superhero lore division, this was an interesting place to take it. I think that's one of the things other episodes in this series lacked. It doesn't really use the idea of, superhero lore in very interesting ways. But here, it's done really interesting. I love, Wong introduced here again. It's a very good episode. It's one of those that you genuinely would give a very positive review to. At number 3, we have episode 2, Superhuman Lore. Now, obviously, this takes place with Jen back in the superhero world, trying to, she's trying to come out of the world. This is her when she kind of gets her She-Hulk name and kind of her finding her place in the world after getting her powers. Wow, I should write synopses for superhero shows, because I smashed it. And yeah, I think it works well. I think in this episode, it's funny, it really works, it gets us to know Jennifer Watts as a character very well, and overall, I just find it really enjoyable. I think this was also the show before the show, for me, got a little bit too silly in some of our earlier entries we mentioned, so that's why, for me, I appreciate it quite a bit. Oh, there we go, that was smooth. So at number 2, we have the first episode, titled A Normal Amount of Rage. This was obviously the big Mark Ruffalo episode where, you know, we get the powers and we have all of that shenanigans. And obviously, it was class. Again, pairing Jennifer Walters with a character we know and love from the MCU, you know, it just works really well. And that's really exciting for her character in the universe going forward, because it seems like every time she interacts with a character we already know, that's when it really is working, which obviously is exciting for, you know, Avengers films and la-di-da going forward. Overall, the episode's just a lot of fun. It's a fantastic introduction and origin story for She-Hulk, and overall I think some really interesting conversations were had, and this was an episode that, for a comedy series, I probably found one of the funniest. And at number 1, we have episode 8, Ribbit and Rip It. Ribbit? Ribbit, like a frog, obviously. I'm really stupid. For me, while I've been enjoying a lot of elements of the show, this, where Daredevil came in, really showed how Jen as a character could fit very well into the larger MCU. It took the lore elements itself a lot more seriously, something I think the show might do if Jen interacts with other elements of the MCU, not on her own show. And the introduction of Matt and Jen together really, really worked well for me. And that's just the elements that help the She-Hulk show. For me, as a massive, massive Daredevil fan, seeing Daredevil in here was class, and I can't pretend that isn't a big reason why I loved this episode. I know that could be controversial to some, because the episode I'm giving number 1 is the episode that was probably massively carried by Daredevil. You've got to remember, if they didn't want an episode to be massively carried by Daredevil, they wouldn't have put Daredevil in the show. They knew this would get fans excited, and it did. And that's why it's number 1 for me, even though probably like the other 5, 6 episodes that just come before, I also would give positive reviews to. I think only the bottom 2. I'd probably go, yeah, that was a bit naff. I'd probably be alright without watching that. Whew! And we're back. We made it. I just ranked all the episodes for you. So subscribe! If you want me to go more in depth on the good and bad of She-Hulk, click this video. I promise you, it's a bit of fun, and we don't do any sexism on this channel, because that is wrong. I love how I made that sound like it's a joke. Sexism is wrong. Don't be sexist. It's a great note to end a YouTube video on.